So the topic is cultural appropriation, Chet. You're speaking on it without actually looking it up. That's the first thing you don't do. I had hopes for you as a Jamaican. I wasn't offended. Many Jamaicans, we're not offended easily. We're easy people, not offended by the patois and whatnot. If you had continued with it and started to make, I don't know. Yeah, but the patois speaking on a whole was not an issue. And I believe that these two videos that you came out with wanting to discuss cultural appropriation, well, the first one wanting to discuss cultural appropriation, and then the second one trying to clean up the first, was because of the patois that you did. And first of all, who's your audience that you're speaking to? Because it's many Jamaicans that don't have no issue, really. So I like to believe it's Black Americans. That's one thing that you have to make clear when you're talking in these videos. Number two, why didn't you Google it? Look at a few articles on cultural appropriation. Why didn't you do that? To have a better understanding, a fair discussion. You said that, why can't a white person just put in dreadlocks? Why can't a white person do certain things and not labeled as cultural appropriation? Why can't they just do it for the love of the culture? Well, guess what? It is Black History Month, so you're gonna get schooled today. I'm gonna give you some homework. Number one, go and Google cultural appropriation. Go read a few articles on cultural appropriation. There is a difference between appreciation and appropriation. Go and look it up. I'm not going to tell you, go look it up. That's what you should have done. If you love the culture so much, then that is what you should have done. Instead of coming at people and saying it's ridiculous, using an analogy of snowboarding. That was something I forgot to do before I did this live, to actually look if a snowboard was made by a Black person. Because many white people think they made stuff and they didn't make it. Many white people go on as if they created things and they didn't. It came from a certain culture. That's cultural appropriation, when you don't recognize where this particular thing came from. You gave the example of country music in your second video, which I find ironic. Because we know in music, period, back in those days, a lot of it was covered up. A lot of what was created by Black people, it was never publicized and never spoken of until later on in years, until like 70s, 80s, people start to get woke and start to expose these things. So you, my friend, are somewhat of a walking cultural appropriation. Because you come on here, big up Black History Month, and don't even look up what cultural appropriation is, but you call yourself appreciating the culture, appreciating it. A love for the culture, okay? Why can't a white person do this? And because they love the culture. Well, if they do it and they know about the culture and they know why somebody would be offended, that's a different story. But when you come on here and you criticize because you were attacked, why don't you understand where the attack comes from? Why don't you understand that it's a trigger point for many Black people? It is a trigger for many Black people when they see white people, especially famous white people, come with Bantu knots, or in Jamaica we call it Chinese bumps, cornrows in their hair. When I grew up, I got made fun of. When my hair was like that. When my mom put my hair in twists after she washed it, because that's how she said it. I went outside, they call me snake hair. Did you grow up with that? Do you understand that? Do you understand why we have to twist our hair like that? It's not a style. It's not fashion. It's how we comb our hair. It's how we do our hair. But you guys are making it into fashion, style, and what. You don't have to do that. You have the nice pretty hair where you can lay down. You don't need to cornrow your hair. We needed to do that so it wouldn't get knot up, matted and all that. So we had to cornrow our hair. We couldn't wash our hair every day. Once a week, once every 2 weeks. That's how I grew up, once every 2 weeks. Because sometimes it's an all-day thing. When you take our styles, and then when we say, oh, it's cultural appropriation and whatnot, do you understand what that means? Too many people have benefited off of what is not our style. It's our way of living, our way of life. But they make it so famous. They make it a gimmick. And don't even know where it comes from. And then turn around like you did and say it's ridiculous to even do that. Like if a black person came and was snowboarding, and it's white culture. Who said it's white culture, dude? You forget that this is colonization here. White people expect us to do what they do. That's what's happening here in North America. White people expect us to do what they do. We have to do, when in Rome, we do what the Romans do. We have to do it as black people. If we want to do what we want to do, oh God, they want to cut our hair if our hair is in dreadlocks. If we have our hair in braids, they want us to undo our braids. We have to have it in ponytails. Okay? You want to talk about cultural appropriation? I'm not even telling you the definition on purpose. I'm giving you an idea. But you need to look it up so you can come on here and talk sensible to people and fair to people. You have to understand what triggers people. Years and years of cultural appropriation, years and years of stealing from us and not giving us the proper recognition of where it came from, what it's all about. Parading our stuff as style and fashion. When I know style and fashion, it's how we grew up. It's how we grew up. Okay? This kind of thing gets me upset. I did not know about these things. Me growing up, West Indians, a lot of Jamaicans don't know about this stuff until they come over here and they actually recognize these things and see these things. I did not grow up being in a Jamaican environment all the time. I didn't know about all the things, how white people thief from black people. But as I grew older, I started to see that, yeah, the truth. That's why Justin Timberlake gets called out. That's so many people get called up because now you turn around and you criticize black people instead of trying to understand. You love the culture so much that you're criticizing them for calling it cultural appropriation. Sir, you didn't look it up. Go look it up. Go and look it up. Please do us a favor and yourself a favor. Stop. You look like a fool. Straight up, you look like a fool. I understand. I've had this conversation with friends of mine, a friend of mine who lives in Africa right now. And we've had this discussion. She understands. But at the same time, there are people who jump to say cultural appropriation. If you had said that with the understanding of what cultural appropriation it was, I could agree with you. But you're bringing up country music. Do you know where country music came from, sir? Do you know? Do you know where it came from? Do you know where it came from? Just because you see it predominantly white right now doesn't mean it came from white people. Rock and roll. Do you know where rock and roll came from? Sir, do you know where rock and roll came from? I suggest you look these things up before you come on big Instagram come talk about this. Okay? Please do yourself a favor. Stop looking like an idiot and a fool. Okay? May I tell you, please do. Go look up appropriation, cultural appropriation. There is appreciation. White people who come dressed in dashikis and whatnot, I ask them, oh, where did you get that from, you know? And in conversation, I find out more about where they're from. And chances are they may look white and they're not, you know? And that's fine and that's great. That's what makes this world what it is. Growing Jamaican, we know there's white, Chinese, Indian, Jamaicans. There's so, I know nothing. But you cannot disregard the fact that there are triggers for Black people in North America, Black Canadians and Black Americans that will look at this and think it's appropriation. You need to recognize that. It may not always be right, but you cannot say that it's stupid, it's ridiculous, it's effed up. You can't, not be. You need to understand why. And white people do appropriate. White people do appropriate. Magazines, newspapers, TV, actors, actresses, singers, they appropriate. They do. And it needs to end. It needs to end. They popularize a certain music and whatnot, and then turn around and criticize the Black people who started the music that got them popular. Okay? You turn around, criticize, but you come and you're talking patois and whatever, and I know you got more followers. I know you have your Black friends. I know you sound like you've been to Jamaica, come to, but you big up Kingston and whatnot. Me know. But you're gonna turn around and criticize Black people without recognizing why they may have said what they said and why they may have called it cultural appropriation. Sir, go read one book. Go read a book. And I hope you see that. I'm going to tag you so you see this because I'm trying to help you out. I'm trying to help you out. Okay? Understand why I'm upset. Okay? Understand why I'm upset and why this has triggered me. I both can look at the Jamaican side of it. Didn't have a problem with the patois. Although I had a video out and whatnot. It's all in fun. And I was talking fairly. The accent wasn't all that great. And that's just what it is. But when you come on talking about a cultural appropriation, and then you're bringing up country music, you're bringing up snowboarding. I understand you were trying to explain what snowboarding is. You know it's a sport, but it's not. Understand that it's colonized here. We have to adapt to what the white people want to do. Completely different. We're made fun of, or it's put into laws that we can't have our hair a certain way when we enter the courtroom, when we're a lawyer. Okay? So when you're comparing sports and comparing white culture, understand that we have to adapt to white culture. I didn't grow up eating Timbits. I didn't grow up eating beaver tails. I didn't grow up knowing about eating what's American, because I'm naming Canadian stuff. But you understand what I mean? Black people had to adapt to white culture in order to survive, my friend. I suggest if you love the culture and love the people, and somebody said it perfect, that white people love the rhythm of Black people, but not the blues. Let that sink in, Chet. Let it sink in.